What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to the game department. Today we are going to talk about Streamlabs OBS. Now you might be new to Streamlabs, you might know a little bit about Streamlabs, you might want to see if you can pick up any different tips or tricks or something. We're going to go through it all today. We're going to go through scenes, we're going to go through sources, we're going to have a quick little look at your audio mixer, see if there's a couple of things you can do to make your microphone sound a little bit better, and we're going to do it all within 10 minutes. Maybe not. But we'll try. Okay, so jumping straight into the software itself, what you can see on straight away is your basic layout. So at the top, you've got your preview, you've got your scenes to the left, your sources in the middle, and your audio mixer to the right. Now these are the basics that you're going to need to get a stream up and running. What we're going to do quickly is we're going to make some scenes. So your scene is going to be a starting soon, a be right back, an in-game, an intermission, anything that you want to interchange and make different looks throughout your stream. This is going to be the way to do it. So to do a really basic stream, all I'm going to suggest is you have an in-game, an intermission, and a be right back screen if you have to leave the room for whatever reason and you don't want people just looking at an empty room or whatever the case may be. It gives you a good opportunity to, play some music, plug some socials, do all sort of stuff that you might want to do. And as I said, it's completely dependent on what you want to do in your stream specifically. Somebody wants to do different things to you, that's fine, that's no issue. So we're going to go scenes, add new scene. Now we're going to call this one in-game. So this is going to be our in-game screen. We're going to make another one. We're going to call that talk, I guess. And then we're going to do a BRB. Easy peasy. Okay, so we're going to start with our in-game screen. So we're going to build that up and sort of show you how to add your game capture, how to add your camera capture, your borders, anything like that to make it look a little bit more inviting to a new viewer and just make it a little bit more unique to yourself. So first off, we're going to go plus, we're going to go game capture. Now you don't have, this is all going to be for PC gaming. There is a different process to do it for consoles. If you want to see a console edition or a PS4 edition or whatever the case is going to be, let me know in the comments. But for right now, we're going to do PC. So you click game capture. We're just going to call this game capture, make it nice and easy for you in the future to identify what that actual source is within that scene. Now, when you go mode, I would go to capture specific window. Now, I've got getting over it open just for the sake of this video. So you'd go down here, you would find what is actually open. Getting over it will come up. Click getting over it, click done. Don't change any of this, leave it as is. You want to obviously capture your cursor if you want to. If you don't want to, just untick that and then your mouse won't be seen in your game capture. So click done. Now when you open or click on the window that game is actually running in, it'll bring it up. Okay, so what I would do next is I would add the camera. Now I use a Logitech C922 webcam when I stream, solely for the fact that it's convenient, it's easy. I do want to upgrade to the camera I'm currently using in the future, but for right now, it being a smaller stream, do what you got. So we're going to click add. We're going to click video capture device. And I'm just going to call this the C922, just so I know exactly what it is at an immediate glance. So I've got this underneath my desk pointed at a wall so you don't have two of my face because that would just be freaking weird. And this is what you're going to get straight away. So you're going to get the webcam's going to come up, resolution type, color spacing, all that sort of stuff. What I would do is I'd click custom. I would go 1920 by 1080 if that's what your camera is capable of shooting in. I would do match output FPS so everything syncs up and matches, and I would keep it as it is like that right now. I'm just going to quickly resize this. Bang. So I would generally place this about here. Just basics, nice and simple for now. What I would do is edit the camera grading itself for color. So if you click configure video, it's going to get this tiny little panel. Now on this panel you can have full access and control over contrast, sharpness, saturation, the gain, the white balance, everything to make it look a little bit more professional and a little bit more unique to your current situation. So generally this is what I would do, is I click low light compensation. I would turn that off because it gives a much crisper look because the camera doesn't have to try and compensate for any of that low light within the room. I like to have a lot of lights on in my room. It makes it nice and bright and a little bit more inviting, and turning that off gives me a little bit more control over the camera. So you can also have the option of zooming in and out if you want to, depending on what sort of camera you have. I also like to turn focus off, so what that stops is any autofocus tracking within the camera. So I keep the camera exactly where it is the entire stream. I focus it at the start, turn off focus, and that way it's never going to have to try and find focus. It's not coming in and out of focus throughout the stream. It's exactly where it is. I come back into my position. I know where my focal points are within my setup. It just makes it nice and seamless, for me anyway. That's all I would do there. I'd keep the exposure on auto just in case anything happens and you need to bump up a little bit of exposure. But 9 times out of 10, I might turn that off as well, depending on what sort of situation or lighting I have in the room. Then you go to this setting over here, and this is where I like to make a couple of other changes also. So I like to bring up the brightness just a little bit, also pump up the contrast slightly, some saturation as well, and the sharpness just a little bit. I find that gives my camera a look that I enjoy. It's completely dependent on what you want. Some people don't like this, some people will like this. Some people don't really care. It's completely dependent on yourself as well. The other thing that I would suggest is this power line frequency anti-flicker. So you have the option between 60 Hz and 50 Hz. I have a little light right here, this little game over light, and what that does is changes color every now and then. I found on the 60 Hz setting that you can see some flickering within the light, so I changed it to 50 Hz, it doesn't show up. So it's completely dependent on what your lighting is in the room. If you have lights in your background and you can see them flickering or jittering or anything like that, jump in that setting, flick it down to a different setting and see if that makes a difference. So far we're going to keep that exactly as it is. Now, for the color space, color range, all that sort of stuff, I would keep video format on anything. Color space, I would keep the same. Color range, I like to click full, just so it uses the full color range within the camera. And that's it. I would click done, and that's my camera set up, ready to go. Obviously, it's pointed at a wall right now, which doesn't obviously make any sense to the stream, but I'm going to put this camera on top of that camera just to sort of make this a little bit more flawless, yeah? So I'm going to currently hide this camera. I'm going to add this camera to this. There you go, makes sense. What we're going to work on now is we're going to do our cam overlay. So I use a website called Nerd or Die. It's really, really good for people who are just starting off and they want a potentially free overlay. They also have overlays that you can pay for to get something a little bit better quality. It completely depends on what you want. I guess this video is more so for people just starting out and want to try doing Twitch for the first time. So we're going to do a free one. So I found one called the Atlas overlay, and that's the one we're going to use for today's stream. We're going to click new source. We're going to click image because that's going to be our camera border. Add source, we're going to call this cam border. Add source. We're going to browse for the file. Now inside the Atlas overlay folder, you're going to have a bunch of different things. So inside the folder you've got animated or static. Now animated is not going to show up because we're looking for an image, but in static you're going to see a bunch of different things. So you've got your banners, you've also got your cams. Now my camera itself, the C922, shoots in 1920 by 1080, so you get that nice wide frame. So when you can see small cam or wide cam, I want to utilize that wide camera because I zoom in a little bit and frame the face a little bit more, get a little bit more of the room. You don't have to do that if you're doing, say, a smaller camera or you're cropping your frame or whatever the case may be. You can then use the smaller frame, but I'm going to use the wide cam. Now I also like something a little bit simpler, a little bit thinner around the edges, so we're going to go with the simple cam wide. Click done. Now I'm going to move the camera here just to go over our camera. We're going to make it a little bit bigger, not too big, probably about there. Shuffle it across just slightly. Perfect. That's where our camera is going to sit. Now I'm going to move this camera out of the way to put our other camera in so you can see the layers of what I'm trying to explain, and then we'll move this camera back to bump up that quality just a little bit. So we're going to unshow our camera. Perfect. Now, if we resize this camera to be the same size as the camera border, this is where things can become a little bit better for you. Now, we are going to just bring this down so we can zoom into that screen just slightly. Perfect. We're going to make this border a little bit bigger. Now, because this camera border itself, I'm actually going to Let me just turn this camera. Because this camera border has the little edges over the top, it's going to sit over the top of your camera, so it doesn't line up perfectly. It doesn't really matter too much as long as you can't see where that edges come out of the camera border. So when you've got your sources laid out just here, you've got your border, your camera, and your game capture. Now, if I put the border underneath the camera, obviously the camera is going to be on top. So it works in the way of layers. So as long as you've got the thing you want on top, on the top of this list, then you're obviously going to see them in the layers that's listed within that list, if that makes sense. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. Now the next thing on that list is we have our banner sources. So if you click back at image, you go add a new source. Now if you want to click, let's say banner, click image file, browse. Now you had those little banner text as well. So you got a 3 times heads up display full. Simple text. Let's just go the 3 simple blank, just to fit within the rest of our design. Done. So if you drag, oh goodness gracious, if you click this banner, drag it down, we'll just chuck it underneath the video for now, underneath the camera, line it up with the sides of the screen. Beautiful. Now, if you want to move 2 sources at once, click one, hold Control, click another, and now they'll both move together, which I found out the hard way, but makes things a lot easier in the way of moving stuff together. We're going to just quickly move them up. Beautiful. So now at the moment we've got our camera border, and we've got our banner, which makes pretty much a simple setup straight away. You don't have to have this here. You can have it up the top, you can have it wherever. You don't have to have one either. I find it is a good way, especially when you start off, to have your different socials. You can have your Instagram, you can do little logos in those little blue boxes for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want to advertise with that little banner. If you change your mind down the track, or if you're doing something midstream and you think, oh, it's not working, all you do is click this little sign and that hides it. Okay, so that hides it from your stream. It still exists, it's still there, so if you want to bring it back, you just click it, but at least it hides it in the middle of what you're doing so nobody else can see it on the stream, if that makes sense. Now, another thing to remember when you're doing this as well is everything within this panel, everything within that panel is going to be seen on stream. So as long as you've got things, so see when you see now it's not there, people on stream won't see it. If it is, they will. I'm sure that makes a bit of sense. Now the other thing we can add as well is you click sources. The best thing about Streamlabs and why I use Streamlabs is you have a bunch of different built-in things through Streamlabs, which are really, really easy to adapt and use within your own stream. So I'm going to show you now with the... Okay, so I'm going to show you with, we'll do a alert box, because alert box is so essential. So click the alert box, keep it as alert box. Now you're going to have all your different alerts, and I know this looks a little bit spooky. I'm going to do another video on this later down the track. But you can add different alerts, different defaults. It's going to have my defaults from my stream in here for the time being, which I'm sure is fine for the general gist of the situation. So I'm just going to chuck this smack bang right in the middle. Now, if you go onto Streamlabs' website, you're going to be able to make your own alerts, or you can do it within that little widget panel, depending on how you want to do things. So you can add different GIFs, different text, what you're getting alerts for, whatever you want to make it, you make it very unique to yourself, which is the best thing about it. So when you've got a couple of different alerts made, you think they're good, you're happy with them, you click test widgets, say we're going to check the follower. Now it comes up with the follower, it's going to come up with the audio. I don't know if you heard that, I might have picked it up on the microphone, but you're going to get those follower notifications, and every notification you're going to get is going to come up on your stream, not only for you, but for your viewers as well. So that is an absolute essential. So if you're happy with your alert box sitting where it is as well, you click this little lock icon, and what that means is you can't move that one source. You can't accidentally shift it. So if we do that to everything, no matter what I click and what I do on this screen, I can't accidentally move things or shift things. So if you've got your setup, you're happy with it, you lock everything. When you're on stream, if you're trying to do something within OBS or whatever the case may be, you're not going to shift things around or delete things or whatever the case is going to be. It's going to be nice and locked to where it sits. Makes it super simple. Now you can do this to every single scene, make them all completely unique to yourself. This is just a really basic example on your in-game screen. If you click your talk, it's going to be completely blank. You apply those same methods that you did for your in-game to your talk. Super easy, super easy. And as I said, all you need is your in-game, your talk, and BRB. You don't need anything other than that. You don't need anything over the top or extra. Keep it nice and simple, nice and easy. The next thing that we're going to work on quickly is going to be your mixer, because I'm sure we're probably well over 10 minutes at this point. Now in your mixer, you're going to have desktop audio and you're going to have your mic/auxiliary. So your desktop audio is going to pick up everything that your desktop picks up. So gameplay, your music in your background, a bunch of different things that you're going to use within your stream or when your computer is playing, and that can even be Windows notifications. Anything that's going to come up on your desktop, this mixer will pick up. So the one underneath that, your mic/auxiliary, that's where you're going to be plugging your microphone into, and you can be able to add some filters to make it sound a little bit nicer, which we're going to do now. So you're going to click this little gear here. You're going to click Properties. Now, I myself use this XLR condenser microphone that's plugged into a USB interface, and that is what it's picking up. So it's picking up the line Audio Box 96, which is my USB interface. Now, if you had a condenser microphone, a USB condenser, or whatever the case may be, like a Blue Yeti or a Blue Snowball or something like that, then OBS would find that. You click on that one from the drop-down menu, and then click Done. So that's going to be then picking up that microphone specifically. Unmute that, and I'm sure now that you can see it's picking up my voice, which I'm going to have to obviously mute for the sake of this video, but it's going to be picking up my voice. So the best thing about this mixer is it's so easy to make your voice a little bit crisper, a little bit nicer, and I think it's something that a lot of new streamers specifically forget or don't really know or don't even think about, which is something that I strongly recommend you do. So if you click Filters, I've got a couple here already that I've used on my stream before. Now, what this does is this alters the audio that's coming through your microphone. So some people might not have any idea what these mean. That's completely fine. I don't expect a lot of people to know what a compressor is or a limiter is or anything like that. I would do a quick little Google search, have a bit of a look. It'll explain roughly what each of these do, but I would play with them anyway. Have a bit of a play, listen to your microphone, listen to what it sounds like, and make a couple of tweaks, because what I like and what you like might be completely different. So on your noise suppression, you've got a -30. I would leave that. Compressor, leave these settings. Limiter, leave these settings. Noise gate, leave these settings. Now the way you add filters, you add click plus, filter type, pick which kind of filter you'd like. So say if we wanted to add a noise gate, for example, I would keep it at noise gate. It's going to come up with these settings, and then I would leave it. I'm going to remove this one because I've already got one. So if you want to remove a filter, make sure it's highlighted, click the negative button, and that's it. It removes that specific filter. Now, as I said, I would leave these all in the default. Record a little bit of what the audio is going to sound like, and then come back and make some tweaks. That's the best way that I can suggest doing it yourself without having to go live or without having to have somebody look on your stream and say, well, it doesn't sound very good, maybe you should change this. That's the best advice I can give you. So if you wanted to record your own test video, I guess, is the best suggestion. I would do a basic sort of test stream. I did it a bunch when I first started just to make sure everything was right and perfect and I was happy with it. All you need to do for that is you click record just down here, and what that'll do is that'll record everything that's within this panel and output it. So if you've got your in-game, which obviously the game's closed now, but it'll have the game, your camera border, everything will be running as it would when you're streaming to Twitch. I would click record, speak into your microphone, do a couple of different tests. I know it might be weird to do a test by yourself, but I think it is something that is definitely not a necessity, but it's something I would definitely urge you to do, solely for the fact that it gives you a good idea of how your stream works and how it looks to your potential viewer, especially while you're not watching it on the stream. You're too focused on actually streaming yourself. So it is a good way for you to see exactly what your viewer's going to get, and it gives you a nice way as well that you can upgrade or update or fix or make a few different tweaks and changes that's going to ultimately benefit your viewer experience. And I think that's obviously the most important part, because if the viewers don't enjoy it, what's the point? Realistically. I'm going to leave that here. I think we covered a lot of stuff that we needed to. I might not have covered stuff that you wanted me to. If you want to go into settings and bit rates and all that sort of stuff to make the stream operate and run a little bit nicer, if you don't know that already, leave me a comment below. We can definitely make this a little bit of a series if that makes sense. And as I just want to put a little quick disclaimer out there, I am by no means the best streamer on Twitch at all. but it is something that I really, really enjoy. I do it 3 days a week. Twitch.com/the game department. Check it out. It is something that I've really grown to love and enjoy, and do it every week, week in, week out. And it's something that I'm going to want to continue to grow and do and enjoy for a long time to come. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. We post videos every Thursday. Also, if you want to join our fantastic community on Discord, I'll leave a little link below in the description box. Come check it out. We have a fantastic little community of people. We talk about games and memes and games and stuff. That's what we talk about. If you want to join it, feel free. Other than that, I'm going to leave you to it. I hope you have a good morning. I hope you have a good night. Bye!